Hello and welcome back to episode 25 of the Middle Ground podcast, where today I'm going to talk about your superpower. This might not be a particularly long one, but I think it's a very important topic to cover. Because everyone has a superpower, and everyone has the same superpower, but that superpower is different. Let me explain. The chances of you being the best at anything in the world, being the single best person in the world for that job, astronomically low. Astronomically low. There are, 8.5, 9 billion people in the world now? The chance that you are the best lawyer, the chance that you're the best roofer, bricklayer, doctor, teacher, very low. And almost intangible in many respects. You know, who is to say that the best teacher is the best teacher, right? But the one thing that you can be the best at is being you while doing that thing. You're the only person that can do that job the way you can do it. So your superpower is you. It's your authenticity. No one else can do you better than you. And when we're young, at least in my experience, I'll speak from my experience here. When I was younger, the more I wanted to fit into a box, the more I wanted a definition. Musician, athlete, whatever. I wanted labels. I think we crave labels when we're young because it makes us stand out less. It helps us understand ourselves much more. If you are given a label at a young age, you realise that you fit into this box and this is who you are, and it helps you explore that side of yourself. For example, when I was younger, I was a drummer, I played music, I played sport, I wasn't academically challenged, I was a relatively intelligent kid. And having those labels, being a drummer, helped me explore that part of myself. Being a rugby player or a basketball player helped me explore that side of myself. It gave me definitions to understand myself better. And it helped me fit in. Because as we know, the kids, when you're at school that don't fit into a box, that people can't define, that people can't figure out, they're the kids that have a hard time. I didn't have a hard time at school. Not one bit. Very rarely. But the kids that don't necessarily fit into those boxes and aren't easily defined are the kids that don't have a particularly, maybe sometimes, enjoyable time at school. Because it confuses people. They like to be able to put people in boxes. I think we do like boxes. It's safe to be in a box. It's very safe to be in a box. It doesn't challenge you. However, as we get older, we need to learn to break these boxes down. Again, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to have a couple definitions about yourself when you're young. But as you get older, I think the more important it is that you escape those boxes. That you begin to figure out who you actually are. And that comes through being in uncomfortable situations, through doing hard things. Because they're not safe. Being in a box is safe. So you almost have to chase the opposite end of the spectrum. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations and do hard things. And you will figure out more of who you are. Now again, I'm 23. I don't know who I am yet. I know more. But by God, do I hope that this isn't it. I've figured out a lot in the last 3 years. From 20 to 23, completely different person, completely different understanding of who I am, of how I function, of my strengths, of my weaknesses, of my own superpowers. But if it was to stop here, I'd be very upset about that. I would not be particularly happy that my growth had stopped. And it's exponential if you want it to be. The more you delve into yourself, the more you understand about yourself, the better life gets because you understand yourself more. It's this continual growth. But if you think that growth's going to stop and that you get to 25, 30 and you don't become any more of anything, that's where the wheel stops, that's who I am, then it probably will. But if you can continually chase this growth, this self-development, this understanding, I believe life only gets better. Now, to bring it back to my original point, You are the only person that can do you better than anyone else. So it is absolutely essential that you do you. Whatever job it is that you do, you're probably not the best at, but you can do it your way. And that is what will set you apart. It's something that I've had to learn a lot through building this business and becoming a coach and putting myself out on social media. It's that you cannot follow someone else's blueprint. The more you do that, the less you'll enjoy it. The less things that come your way will be for you. If you put up this facade of this fake person or this person that you want the world to see you as, the opportunities and the things that come your way won't align with who you actually are. They will align with who the world thinks you are. They will align with the person that you put out to the world. So deep down, you might create a life that you actually resent, simply because you haven't given your authentic self to the world. And I know this term, authentic self, is a very woo-woo, overused Instagram-y term, but it's the best way to put it. It is you and who you are at your core, and that is what people will love you for. It's also what people will hate you for. But wouldn't you much rather be hated for who you are than loved for who you're not? And you won't just be hated. You'll have people that love you for who you are, and not for this world, or this version that you give yourself to the world, that you give to the world, sorry. It's so important that that is the version of yourself that you present, the real version of yourself. Because again, if you don't, and this is beyond social media. This is so much beyond social media. This is at your job, into normal life, to the people that you speak with on a day-to-day basis. If you put out this fake version of yourself that you're not at your core, the things that come your way will not be aligned. The opportunities that come your way, the jobs that come your way, the relationships, the friendships, they will all be built upon this facade of what the world thinks you are. And that probably fits into a box somewhere if it's a facade. You want to be this or you want to be that, and you want to adopt the typical traits of that, of being in that box. And you won't, deep down. You have to do things your way. There is, in my eyes, no other approach to this life than to do things your way, on your terms, the way you want to do things. And this isn't to say if something doesn't align and it's not exactly how you want it to be, then fuck that, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to go things my way. That's not what I'm on about. But you have to understand who you are and the value that that brings. Again, I've had to learn this a lot from a business perspective, from a social media perspective. If I put out a version of myself that I am not on social media, which is where most of my clients come from, the clients that I attract will not be people that align with me. And when they come through the doors of my coaching service, they're not going to be any fun for me to coach. Because they think they're getting someone that I am not, which means I have to uphold this facade of myself, which drains me and ruins the business. I've seen a lot of people create businesses that they don't like simply because the version that they put out there of themselves is not who they actually are. I would rather have a smaller business that is the size it is because of who I am, and it's filled with people that like me for me, want to be coached by me, like the way I go about things, and understand what they're coming in for, than have a massive business that every day that I show up, I have to be someone else. No chance. Absolutely no chance. And beyond building a business, I'm aware that a lot of people don't have businesses. You can be the most you at anything. If you work a customer service job, you can be the most you at that job. If you're a fun, outgoing person, you can approach people that way. If you're slightly reserved, you can use it as a way to get out of your shell, but still retain the parts of you that you want to give to the world. If you don't figure out who you actually are, you will run in search of a box. And you will find a box, and you will put yourself in a box. And to get out of those boxes is hard. It's so hard. It's why I recommend traveling to a lot of people. I solo traveled when I was quite young. I was freshly 19. And I went and I solo traveled. Not for ages, for 2 months, 6 weeks, 2 months. But I was completely alone. And I think for a lot of people, they are constantly upholding this version that people think they are. This version of this person. This is who Jude is. This is who Haley is, whatever. And you go through school and you're this caricature of yourself. And then you go into your job and you're this caricature of yourself because the people around you, you never get away from them. They always expect you to show up in a certain way. Even your parents to some degree, your siblings, your childhood friends. They expect a certain version of you. That might be different. A lot of people are different people when they go to work or when they go and hang out with their friends. They have different versions that they bounce between. But when you go traveling, and this isn't to sound like, oh, I went traveling. I'm not that kind of guy. But when you go somewhere where no one knows you, no one has any preconceived idea of you, you have a blank slate, a tabula rasa, you can be exactly who you want to be and who you are, and people will have to accept you as that. Love or hate, if you spend 2 weeks in a hostel and no one knows who you are, over those 2 weeks they will get to learn who you really are, if that is what you present. If you go in search of the version of yourself that you want to be and the version of yourself that you are at your core, and you act accordingly to that, these people will know that, and they will become to start to expect that from you. And then that version that people expect of you is actually you. And then when you come back home, it can be a real shock for people because they feel like they've outgrown this box that their hometown and their friends or their parents put them in. And they come back and they're no longer in that box. But everyone thinks they are. But they've changed as a person. They've developed this real version, this real side of themselves that isn't a caricature. That is actually who they are. So I couldn't recommend enough that period of time as a young man, as a young woman, to go out and solo travel, not with friends. Not with friends. Don't go with people that you know. Because then you remain acting as they expect you to act. If you go completely solo, you have no expectations. You can be 100% completely, authentically you. And no one knows anything different. That's just who you are. I believe it's why some of the best souls, some of the nicest people I've ever met have been from traveling. Because it is people being 100% them. With no preconceived ideas, no preconceptions. The speed at which you make friends traveling is like nothing I've ever experienced. You can not know anyone in a building the first day you enter. That's a hostel, for example. And 3 days later, you are best friends with everyone in there. And you walk through the doors, you wake up in the morning, you go into the kitchen and hey, what's up, guys? Good morning, what's everyone's plans today? And you just go and do plans with random people that you didn't even know existed 3 days ago. It's one of my favorite experiences. It makes me smile just thinking about it. So I cannot recommend that enough to people. From an experience side of things, but again, from a discovering who you actually are and who you actually want to be and show up as in the world. So to kind of bring this all home, being the best at something won't be your golden ticket. Being the best content creator, the best coach, the best doctor, again, the best teacher, that won't be your golden ticket to a life that you enjoy. But being you while doing those things is something that nothing else can compete on. No one can compete with you on being you and doing things how you want to do them. Which in turn, in my eyes, makes that an essential thing. You have to do things your way. Because that is the way that you will create a life that is for you and that you love and you enjoy. Because you can show up as you in it, you can do things your way. When I bring clients on as a coach, most of the time I will ask them, why me? Why did you want to get coached by me? And 9 times out of 10, it's just because I am me. Yeah, they've seen the results that I get for people, but 9 times out of 10, it's because it's me. And that's not to sound up myself, oh, it's me. It's because people like people. People are attracted by people and repelled by people. I can guarantee there are people that thought about getting coached by me and didn't because they found out who I was, because I'm me on social media. But on the flip side of that coin, there's people that probably weren't too into coaching and then saw that it was me and who I am and what I'm like and thought, you know what, I like this guy, let's give it a go. So you cannot put a price on authenticity, because it is a priceless commodity and a very, very rare one nowadays. So you have to be you. There is no other choice, because you're either you or you're not you. And what is a life if you're not you living it? You'll be disenchanted. You won't enjoy things to the full extent. It's not a life that I want to live, not a life that I want to experience. You have to be you. You have to attract things that the real you attracts. Not the caricature, not the fake, not the facade. The relationships, the friendships, the opportunities, the jobs. You have to attract them as you, and they will feel fitting. They will suit you, because it's you that has attracted them. So there we have it. Be authentically you. Figure out who that is. It's not easy. You might have to do some real journaling, some real thinking, some action. You have to get uncomfortable, put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Adversity, chosen adversity. You have to grow. You have to push yourself out the boundary of the box so that you can really start to understand who you are, away from the labels, away from the boundaries, away from the box. And then show up as that in your day-to-day life. And if people don't like you, sweet. And if people do like you, you know that they really like you for you. And those opportunities that come your way will be aligned with who you actually are. Thank you very much for listening. This has been the Middle Ground Podcast. Follow me on Instagram at JudeLaneCoaching. Like, subscribe, rate, share with a friend. I always appreciate you giving me your time if you've watched this. I will speak to you all in the next one.